Montebello Talks. Hey guys, this is Montebello Talks. I'm your host, Jenny, and this is my co-host,
Sal.
And today's special guest we have
Daniel Dupuy.
Daniel Dupuy, and he's the owner of
Ground Up Coffee.
Ground Up Coffee. Yeah. So if you guys don't know where that's at, it's on Garfield, located across the street from...
It's right in front of the golf course, next to JNS.
Next to JNS. Everybody knows JNS.
What's the exit on the 60?
Garfield.
There you go.
If you're going east.
Garfield if you're going east. All right. So, Daniel, tell me a little bit about yourself first. So, Montebello can get to know you.
I was raised here in this Tri-Cities confusing area of Montebello, East LA, and Monterey Park, where they all kind of meet. I went to school here. I went to Eastmont, then I went to Sher High School.
Boo. We're all Oilers here.
We're Oilers over here.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm 29. I have done a lot of different things in a lot of different fields, whether it be educational or whether it be like professions. I have a lot of hobbies and a lot of passions. Music, I like the outdoors, I love traveling. I'm a business major, and I've done a lot of different jobs, and I'm passionate about doing good things for people, like just doing really good things for people in our immediate surroundings. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily like how to change the world on a larger scale, but I believe in changing the world in a micro sense.
I like that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
The world on a larger scale, if you do it enough.
Okay. So what made it? Okay, so you say you're a business major, so that's what made you open up a coffee shop. So what, or how did that idea come about?
Oh man, it's like, so I used to work at Verizon Wireless, and at the time when I first got that job, I was like, man, this is like I had a maid, I was making good money, but then slowly my consciousness, as it grew, I just started to think like I wanted more. So I ended up starting a business at that point in the fire protection industry, because that's the industry my dad was in, but he never really got to starting his own business, so I thought I would do it and use his experience. And then simultaneously, I went back to school. Mm-hmm. So I went to ELAC and also to Mount SAC, and ended up transferring, and then got my degree in business because it made a lot of sense. It always I never really questioned that what area to get my degree in, and it wasn't really that I wanted to open a coffee shop. It just made a lot of sense at the time. And then my dad had a stroke, and then I ended up closing that business so that I could finish school. And then I ended up working at the port of Long Beach as a manager for one of the terminals. And then, I don't know, corporate America just wasn't really for me. I kind of had a vision for a little bit different life, and coffee was always a thing I was really passionate about. And that was like the guy who I started with, who couldn't be here, Ryan. That was our thing, like going to coffee shop was our thing. It's what we did for
fun. The dream.
We do it all the time, have conversations and just have coffee. And like, how do you turn like what you do for fun into work? Mm-hmm. And that was the concept behind it. It turned into way more than that. Like, this has become a hub for so much, it's crazy, but that's just kind of where it was started, the initial idea.
I just have to ask, how does a 29-year-old like start up a coffee, business? It's, we're dealing with so much other stuff, and like, there's a lot of us, living with parents, we can't buy our own homes and stuff like that. Like, how, as a 29-year-old, like, how do you do it? Like, how did you do it?
I'm definitely not buying houses or anything. So it is a matter of prioritizing what you believe in. Like, for example, I had worked for, 2.5 years, making a pretty good salary and saving my money. And, I could have put a down payment on a house, which is something I thought about doing. Mm-hmm. But when I prioritized it, I realized that, like, I wanted to invest it into something that would create the future I was envisioning for myself. So it did take some buckling down and some hard work, but at the same time, being willing to take risks, being willing to step into uncertainty. I mean, I didn't know. We didn't have that much money. It was just like, I got this and I'm going to make it work with what I have, even if it doesn't look perfect, even if I'm insecure about this thing that I know I wish looked different, or this shop doesn't look rustic enough, or all those questions that go through your mind. You just have to step into that uncertainty and prioritize what's important. Whether or not you want to have a car, a nice car, and a high car payment, a mortgage, or a business, just prioritizing it.
You know what? That's admirable. Like he just straight up said, you know what? I'm gonna put everything I have into my dream,
Pretty
into
much.
what I want.
That's a lot.
That's admirable.
Yeah, because you doubt yourself so much, and you're scared. You're just like, oh, what's gonna happen? You just went for it. And I was about to ask you, I was like, what advice do you have for people that are trying to do a business or trying to get into, like, do something like this? And you just do it.
Yeah, let's just take a step.
So
it doesn't have to look perfect. Just step in one direction, and you'll just keep realigning yourself every step until you end up where you want to be. I'm still stepping. Trust me.
You're still in the
People
process.
like to make entrepreneurship and this look real glamorous, and social media will have you comparing yourself to people and their lives, but like it's not all glamorous. It's not all perfect, but you just believe in a vision and you kind of buckle down on it. But especially the early months were hard, like questioning everything, wondering if you made the right decision. And now we're a year and a half in, and it's still not perfect. And I don't know that it'll be perfect for a while, but I think I believe enough in it to just keep doing it.
Okay, he's being humbled because I did a little bit of research. I straight up went on Yelp.
Ooh, Jenny's investigation.
I went on
be careful with those
investigation. So I went on Yelp, and you guys have really good reviews. They have, what's it called? So it was the most stars he had. 5 stars.
Yeah,
he has 5 stars.
Yeah,
and so I was going through the comments, and the only one bad star is. Do you want to know what it is?
I think I know. I don't.
Was it you, Jenny?
It was me. No, it's this guy complaining about his coffee being too hot to drink.
Really?
That's the one star that you guys have is because this guy his coffee was too hot. Do you want to do you have something to say to that?
Cold coffee.
You need to serve. Get it
cold
together.
Coffee. You should have ordered it.
Get it together, ground up coffee.
I know, right? Shame.
Dale hielo. Okay, so the name Ground Up Coffee.
Yeah.
Who came up with that, or how did that? Did you guys sit down and brainstorm?
Ryan was here, but it was technically Ryan. He's the one who came up with the actual name. We had debates over this, but we came to realize it was him. He had a text message of proof. So he came up with the name, but the reason behind the name is our philosophy of like not only our lives, but just for business. Like we practice like minimalism and trying to get by with less, like not needing material things to feel worthy. So it kind of like nothing was going to be perfect. Like we didn't have the kind of money that a lot of startups had or that a lot of businesses have. Like we just had to make it work. And so we came up with this philosophy of like ground up, like you're going to do what you can with what you have. So like this table we're on, we built it, that bookshelf, we built it, like things that like we had to do it in a more creative way because it was just from the ground up. Like it's not, instead of everything being perfect, we're going to work with what we have and we'll create this business from the ground up and let it organically grow. And that ties into not having to take on a lot of capital investment, like taking on a bank loan and stuff like that. Rather let it be organic, so that we don't have to be indebted to a bank or to a personal lender who might want a vested interest in our business. We never wanted anyone else's hands in our business. So
just you two.
Yeah.
Wow. So the name has so much meaning to it now that you I thought it had to do with the coffee, but
it's a funny pun too if you think about it. But that was never the intention.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a really good concept.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm like mind blown. It's like, and it's beautiful. I don't know.
What's that theory that you described? Is it minimalism? Is that what you said?
Yeah, minimalism. There's for beginners. There's a documentary on Netflix. It's where
101
where it makes it easier just to understand the concept. But basically, it's not about the idea that you can't purchase or that you can't have things. It's just that everything you have and everything you purchase has to have a value. It has to have like a certain level of worth in your life that it's worth having it, because things clutter your mind and they clutter your soul. And sometimes it's overwhelming, and then you put your worth in these things, right? When really, like, a car is really just a car. It doesn't make you who you are.
Right.
Nothing really makes you who you are except for yourself and what's inside. And so this idea of, like, minimalism aligned with our business, and him and I both practice it in the idea that we, like, really don't place a high value in, like, we have, like, pretty humble cars, and like we try to pay, like, the least amount for rent. Like, you relieve yourself of certain stresses in life that make you able to see clearer, so that you're able to make wiser decisions with a less cluttered mind, and hopefully everything works out better at the end for you.
He has that mentality of he doesn't confuse needs with wants.
Right.
So, like, I just need this. I don't, like...
Wants aren't bad either, though. That's what
depends on what you want, though.
Yeah.
You can't say, like, oh, I want it.
For example, if I want to buy a $2,000 laptop, that's totally fine. As long as that laptop is adding a certain sense of value. You're using it for your podcast right now. You want a good laptop, a reliable laptop. And I use a Mac for music. So it's like, it's really pivotal to have things that you need. So the price, it's not really about the price tag, it's about the value that it adds to your life.
He's speaking some real
he
truth
really
right now.
is. He's like
He's woke.
Woke. Hashtag woke. This turned into like a wisdom podcast, like,
like
ground up wisdom.
Yeah, like I want you to like create or write like
a book.
Yeah, like philosophical.
I'll totally read that book.
That's in my.
It's on your to-do list.
That's in my dreams and goals for one day.
Just go back to listen to the podcast and then just take notes on what you said. Like, oh yeah, this is really good. Okay, so let's go back to your coffee shop.
Sure.
So you guys came up with the name, which is really like, I'm really impressed with the name.
It's a great name.
I know.
Great meaning behind it.
Great meaning behind it. What's something? So you guys are here Monday through Friday, or what's your schedule like?
Monday to Sunday, 7 to 2.
Monday through. Can you repeat that again?
Monday to Sunday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. every day.
That's really good.
Now you're gonna have Jenny here all the time.
No, funny story.
You're at 7.
I was sick last week, and Stephanie goes, "Dude, you need tea. You look bad." And I was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I'm sick." She's like, "Go to Ground Up Coffee and get the wellness tea." And it's so good. Like, I am trying to advertise you guys, but that tea made me sweat. That tea made me sweat so much. Like, when you saw me, that wasn't me. That was my corpse. Like, I was like dead. And then the second day I came, I was going to urgent care, and I still stopped by to get the tea. I was just like, I need this. Like, I'm dying. So we had
a guy told us his asthma stopped flaring because he was drinking the teas. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, cayenne pepper, and lemon, and honey all have a lot of, like, value to your body. So, I mean, it makes sense. But we tend not to have a holistic approach to medicine these days.
Yeah, but it's tea.
You know what I've heard? That you guys know your stuff. Like, you guys have done your research, like, on the coffee. That you guys are really knowledgeable. Is that true, or was that?
Yeah, I mean,
did you read this on Yelp?
I didn't read on Yelp. Word of mouth.
It's true, but we still have a lot to learn still. Like, it's such a vast thing. Like, coffee is, like, literally, it's such a vast industry, and not only industry but product. Like, there's so much that goes into it at so many different levels, and we're doing a level that is important, but it's just one level of what it is, and there's so much left to learn. I'd say maybe I've been doing this now, formally for 2 to 3 years, and I still feel like a newbie sometimes, but I do know a lot, so I just don't want to stop, like, learning more.
What is, like, a coffee that you would recommend people?
Well, we're really passionate here about pure, like, coffee. So, like, if coffee is grown right, roasted right, prepared right, it's going to have a lot of natural flavor. It's going to you'll taste things like strawberries, or you'll taste like a bourbon, or like a honey, or you'll taste these in the coffee. Sure, with a more developed palate, you'll taste more. But we're definitely anti sugar diabetes drinks.
I was about to say that. Like, I bet you hate, like, when people put a bunch of sugar and like.
So we always recommend coffee black. One, because it kind of lines up with our minimal values of, like, purity, and just, like, you don't need that extra stuff. But it also tastes really good. And I kind of related to the first time anyone ever tasted a beer. It didn't taste good. No one liked a beer the first time they had it, but it grew on you.
Right.
And coffee will grow on you too if you give it a chance.
This is directed at you, Jenny, because let's be honest, you put a bunch of sugar, you put a bunch of milk. Tell her what.
No,
how she needs to
hey,
drink
I'm the vanilla latte.
We'll take you where you're at.
Can we try one right now? Can you show me?
Yeah.
We're gonna do drink investigations right now.
Yeah,
but don't make it too hot because I'm gonna Yelp it.
Yeah, we'll do one. But yeah, I mean, we do have the only sweet drinks we carry is a vanilla latte and a mocha latte.
Can you still work with her though? Can we somehow get her back on the normal track? Because I feel like she's gone
We've done
too
it.
far.
We've done it.
You've done it.
We've done
There's
it for
cases.
people. There's actually
There's hope for
more
you,
than
Jenny.
one case. People have started and they'll come in and then you just see the opportunity. They ask you a question. Well, what is that? And you're like, well, this is this or this is that and this is this kind of coffee. And they're like, well, let me try it. Or they're open to trying it, even though they came in here every time and ordered a vanilla latte or this and that. And then with that little bit of a push, and then feeling comfortable, because sometimes you walk into these shops, they can be intimidating. You don't understand the menu. You feel like maybe people are judging you. So we try to create a safe space where we could educate you and you could feel like it's welcoming enough where you can ask a question and not feel like you're about to get shot with a dart or something.
Do you judge people that order vanilla
Jenny?
latte?
Do you judge people like Jenny?
Do you judge me?
No. So I'll admit right off the bat, I didn't always drink black coffee in college and stuff. When I became privy to this idea of specialty coffee is what it's called. It was in San Francisco. I was in the Bay, and it was this company called Blue Bottle, who's really big now, but wasn't big at the time. And they served me a coffee. It was 8 ounces, and that right off the bat blew my mind. And they just didn't have options. You couldn't get a vanilla latte. They didn't have certain options. So I just said, okay, I'll just get that because I felt pressure. I didn't know what to do. And sure enough, I remember thinking to myself, this is really not what I thought it would be. It's a lot better.
So
and
it's good.
It stuck with me. And then eventually it became something more than that. But I used to drink coffee the same way.
See?
So, Jenny, this is where you make the pledge that you're going to try your hardest.
I will try.
To,
when people order.
Be normal.
Yeah.
When people come and order a sweet drink, you're like, are you sure you want that?
We are a little pushy. It's kind of our, people know us. We're a little bit pushy.
Really?
We're not we don't budge on what we believe. So people what we have a single size. We don't have a lot of sizes. Every drink has its original size, right? So cappuccinos are 8 ounces. A cortado is 4 ounces. These are not the size and things that people are accustomed to. Mm-hmm. And so when they come in, they're like, well, you only have one size. And, we took, at least in the beginning, a lot of pushback from people you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And it's okay, that's cool. I respect your opinion, but we're doing this, and that's what we're sticking to. And we don't add a lot to our menu. We try to keep it really simple. We don't want to do something just because we know we can make more money either. So we know making a Frappuccino would make us more money, but the question isn't about money. It's about integrity and quality and a mission that we believe in.
I'm really like that.
So just to get it straight, Jenny is welcome here.
My face.
She's welcome. Everyone is welcome. Our vanilla lattes do really well. And they're really good. And even our vanilla lattes are less sweeter. They're not you get a vanilla latte that's, I already know calories in my head, but it's probably 270 calories at your local Starbucks. But here it's only about 160. And we use a syrup that's no high corn syrup fructose. So we try our best to even at that keep the ratios where you could still showcase some of the coffee and it's not just overly sweet and trying to hide something, because our coffee is really good. And usually when you need to put all that stuff, it's because your coffee is not that good.
Right.
Wow.
So there you go. There you go. We're learning about stuff and
new coffees. What is something that you want Montebello people to know about your coffee shop? I know you pretty said the same thing. I mean, well, not the same thing, but you explain yourself very well. But something that would really stand out for people to come and try, or besides the wellness tea.
That's a pretty good question. I'm not completely sure.
Get an award.
I'm not completely sure. Let me see here. Something I would want people from Montebello to know. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe I don't want them to know necessarily our product. I don't want to describe our product. I would rather them know why we chose Montebello. And this kind of a coffee shop they're out there, but you have to drive to, let's say, the Arts District or Pasadena,
Right.
and to trendy areas that, in all honesty, I don't have anything against them. It's just not my area. It's not where I'm from. And Ryan and I were pretty passionate about creating something here in the community we came from because we knew there was a need. And we were tired of driving. I mean, a big inspiration was we were tired of driving to the Arts District or to Pasadena. And we realized, like, let's start a coffee shop, but even though it's risky, let's start it here, like where it doesn't exist. Let's be on the forefront of a movement. And this kind of coffee, we don't have competition. I don't consider Starbucks and Tierra Mia, like, they're not really like us. I'm not knocking them, but they're just not like us. We do something a lot different.
You guys are unique. You guys are different, yeah.
And so we're one of the only shops in like the border of all of the cities around us that really do what we do.
Right.
There's a couple, but it's pretty dry. But we knew that, and we were like, you know what? We think that this is the place we want to plant our flag, and this is what we believe in, and we want to give back to, like, the community that we understand instead of taking it to an area where we knew we would be successful.
I have a question for you. So, I associate, like, coffee shops like this with events like poetry night or open mic.
Yeah.
Has that ever come up, or are you
Those
thinking about it,
ideas.
those ideas?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a passion of mine, but
Rap night. Ooh,
Yeah.
hip hop night.
There you go.
art, poetry, like, coffee shops have always been a hub for enlightenment. Like, even historically, like during, expats going to France and, like, just like all the different types of enlightenments that occurred. You were drinking a glass of wine or beer or coffee, right? Like, it was like coffee shops were always a part of the enlightenment and the forward progression of society. And nowadays, I feel like a lot of times art and things like that have taken a back seat to a lot of things. Like, you see art programs getting cut in schools, and you don't see places and outlets for people to express themselves as much, or you feel the pressures of having to do a lot of different things. So it's definitely something that I feel passionate about. We haven't got to it yet because it's just a lot. Like I said, it's not always glamorous. Like, you don't always wake up every day inspired. You don't always wake up every day driven to come in here and do it. But you do wake up that way some days, and there's a balance. And so we have to, like, wait for that. I don't want to do something with a half-assed mentality.
Right.
I want to do something with passion, and it just hasn't felt right yet. But it's funny you ask because it's getting there, really close, actually.
Oh, we're warm.
And now that is actually creeping in where I feel I have the capacity and the passion to do it the right way and not just do it because it's expected or because it's associated with what we do, but because we're ready to do it in a way that it'll be meaningful.
I mean, I feel like you guys have the area here, and I'm already
so
imagining it. I see the.
You see yourself singing over
Yeah,
there?
I see myself singing there, and I'm just kidding. But I mean,
Yeah,
I do.
you're booked.
Yeah,
You got the third slot.
there you go.
There you go. You guys have, like, a corner
Yeah.
of books.
Yeah.
And something that's really interesting. You guys have it's a journal. And my cousin's always, like, posting about it. But you pretty much just come and then you're drinking your coffee and then you just get the journal, you just write your thoughts. And you get to read other people's, like, I think that's pretty cool. Like, and it's all in that little corner. And so do people come, like, a lot, like, hey, let me write on that.
Someone panicked once because the journal wasn't there. They were like, where's the journal? And we didn't know.
It was
we
me.
didn't actually know where it was at. And they were, like, really, like, distraught about it. They were like, well, do you know where it's at? Like, did someone take it? And, like, it turned into, we didn't expect, I'm a writer, so I write, right? It seemed natural. Like, I thought it was a cool idea. It was actually a gift from a customer, and it was his idea, and then I kind of, like, made sure it was known. I put something on the front so people knew they could write in it and stuff. And then I put, like, one of the first writings in it just to get it going. But then it turned into something way more than that, where people were really expressing themselves and, like, what they were going through, and then other people were writing on the side, like I hear you, like I see you, and it turned into this big thing, and it's full now. It has tons of writings and tons of ideas.
So it's only one book, or does it get filled? You get another one.
And it's time for book number 2 almost. Yeah,
Ooh,
it's almost time for book 2.
I think you should publish that one.
Coffee Shop Publications. I thought about that too.
Yeah.
That's like I would.
So much,
There's so many ideas going on. So much room for activities.
What's going on in that head of yours?
I know. He's just like, and he's mind blowing me. I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Like when he says something, I'm like, I look at you like, whoa, this guy's deep.
So before we leave, we're gonna have to write something in there.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna have to
Hopefully
be
there's some space.
Yeah.
So it's like a little. That's really good. I'm gonna write my thoughts.
Yeah. What are
Dear
your
diary,
thoughts?
I'm gonna come every day.
Write
It's
about.
cool. And then the books too. We have a really nice collection.
Do people come? So you guys buy the books, or people come and donate
So
them?
we were all students at once, and then like we also had our own preferences, but we both kind of have like certain types of books, and so we decided to start the shelf with like some of our own, and it was really only one shelf, and it turned into people bringing them. But we actually have a rule. Like people ask us all the time, I got these books. Can we bring them? And we tell them, actually, you can only bring it if it's something you feel extremely passionate about or something that has really impacted you, because we don't want old books. Like we want really good books.
Geology
You
book
go to
and
like
math.
these shelves and you're like,
Math book.
Like we have classics, we have books. We have a librarian who's one of our customers, and she like was like, yeah, your collection's pretty solid actually. And it's for a reason. It's because we don't let people bring just anything. Like you have to
random.
bring a book, and
Yeah.
it has to be a book that you really, really feel passionate about. That way we keep the quality of the books high, and you're allowed to borrow them and bring them. And it kind of opens that space for people, you know, like to be able to like kind of delve into books. We put that on the back burner. It
Yeah.
always seems like it's less
Yeah.
important, but it's kind of inspiring, hopefully, in this area to kind of say, you know what, I'm going to pick this book up and read it.
I like that. I know Jenny's mind blown right now.
I am. He keeps mind blowing me. You guys also have like an outside area. I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
The times I became there's always like there's babies. There's always babies. You guys are very family oriented, right?
Yeah, we have a kids menu.
Really?
That was kudos to the other partner, Ryan. He has a daughter.
Shout out to
And
Ryan.
he was very passionate about like, dude, like when you go places, and it means a lot when they have like a kids menu. And you know, like we have a couple cool drinks, but the kids, like, they'll get their parents in here now. I didn't realize it, and I don't know if he realized it either, but now they're like, she wouldn't shut up about the drink. She wants it. And so like they're bringing their parents. I want to go to Ground Up. I want to go to Ground Up. So it's pretty cool, but that was definitely kudos to Ryan for sure.
Yeah, and some of us adults might be interested in that kids menu. You know,
That's you?
That's me. I still get my Happy Meal. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Ryan he's a lot like me.
Yeah.
He's very similar to like the idea. We've been best friends since 10th grade, so
Awesome.
I mean, we might even credit each other for a lot of our own growth and inspiration. But so you can imagine like the way I think, but then having a second person and then constantly diving into topics and dissecting them and building on them. Like it can get exhausting sometimes.
It's like
actually.
you guys are, but it seems like you guys are just feeding off each other, you know? Like
Yeah.
you guys support each other, grow together.
Yeah.
And
a funny story is like when we were going to start this, he was working at a pretty decent job, getting paid decent money. I was getting paid good money. And I was like, we were roommates actually. And I was like, dude, like, we should start a coffee shop, blah, blah, blah. And just a couple weeks before, he was telling me, like, yeah, you know, my job's pretty cool. He was trying to be grateful and have gratitude. But, you know, he always felt like he had a different mission, too. And then I told him that. He comes back, like, a couple days later. He's like, yeah, I quit.
Well, now.
Basically, it was like, all right.
Okay,
and he's always been really quick to, like, he's a kind of person who capitalizes on the moment. Like, he's not driven by fear. Like he's definitely like the guy who's like, well, let's try it, let's do it, you know. Like, and I've been more of like the person who is how can I be strategic about this? And when you combine them, it actually adds a nice little remedy.
Balance.
It gets a nice harmony. Yeah, there's a good balance. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Wow. Deep
man, bro, love.
That's bromance right there.
That's right there.
I feel it.
Yeah.
Even though he's not here, like I feel the love.
Yeah, I feel like he's sitting
Can
next
we
to
just-
us. Like, I feel the energy right now.
He told me, he's like, this seat is empty. He's going to
Yeah,
be here in
I just
spirit.
feel his spirit's here.
His spirit is
His
here.
spirit is here. Yeah.
Okay, he's not dead also, guys. So you mentioned, okay, let's go back to the kids menu. What is the most popular kids menu? So if you have kids, like,
It's called a baby chino.
oh my God, that is so cute.
Yeah.
So it's like a imitation cappuccino, but you could get it in like a chocolate flavor or a vanilla flavor, and we basically like use the espresso machine to froth up the milk, so it looks fancy. And in their head, they think they're getting like a coffee of sorts.
That is so
Yes,
cute.
yes.
Yeah.
Don't give him
I
the
will
real
take
stuff.
one
Yeah.
of those.
Yeah,
That is so cute. Baby Chino, is that what it's called?
yeah.
You know what? Maybe we can give Jenny that.
Yeah,
Going
probably.
back to the whole like kind of
Can
reducing.
I'm not gonna drink that
No,
coffee.
you know, like it's like lowering her tolerance of sugar.
Yeah.
So
I'm
little
just so
by
hyper
little,
right now, like-
and then we'll start you off with the kids menu.
Build my tolerance.
Yeah, and then we'll give you the real stuff.
You've been saved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Do you guys also have so coffee obviously? Excuse me. You guys have
Jenny's having a moment right now.
having a moment.
We don't know if she's crying or about the menu or what's going on.
I had coffee earlier, so I'm like vanilla latte.
Too much
Thank
sugar.
you.
You see, that's the problem. That's what sugar does to you. You
Yeah.
know? It gets you all.
It's like I'm losing my train of thought here. You guys are also coffee, and do you guys do like pastries, tea? Obviously teas, but like what other?
We're mostly coffee guys.
Mostly
We're
coffee.
passionate about coffee.
Okay.
We don't ever really want to have food. We only have pastries because we feel like we should. They are really good and they're homemade and they're bomb. But like we're always coffee guys. Even our teas, like everything that's not coffee was there out of consideration, and it was we're very harsh about whether or not we would have it.
Mm-hmm.
We've always mostly just been coffee guys, and that's what we're most passionate about. But everything on our menu is not on there unless it's good. So, for example, pastries, we only have 4. That's it. And it's the same 4. And sometimes we'll switch one out for another. Like, if it's seasonal, like for like a zucchini bread or like a red velvet or
You guys have a cookie too, right?
gingerbread.
Red
We
velvet.
do have cookies. Right now we don't.
Never mind.
The lady who makes our
No
pastries
samples.
for us, MJ's Pastries, you can follow her on Instagram at MJ's Pastries.
Shout out.
She had surgery, so it's been harder for her like as of the last month to like get some of that stuff done. So we held off on the cookies, but yeah, we have pastries and they're bomb. But
And
we
they're
only
bomb.
have 4, but they're really good.
Here, I think
The
Jenny's saying,
pastries.
"Prove it."
I know.
Food investigations.
Food investigations. It's gonna be another show. Where
Another show. I'm going to try all the coffees. You guys have merchandise also.
Yeah.
Stephanie rocks that. Like,
Did not know that.
yes, you guys rep your stuff.
Yeah, we're one of the only shops like this, and a lot of our so we have like, dude, shout out to like our customers. They're so sick. Like we have
Shout out to your customers.
Yeah, we have really dope customers. Like they support and rep us. Like it's not, they make us feel like we're not competing with anybody, because they once they figured out that they like this place, they just always come back, and it's just this like it's really a community. Like the other day, a customer walked in and hugged another customer, and in my head I said, I even said it to them. I was like, oh, how do you guys know each other? And they said, we don't. We just do here. But they see each other so often here in their routine, and they start to talk and they get to know each other. And I was like, wow, like that's community. Like people literally know each other. People have started dating. People have it's crazy. But like our community is strong, and like our foundation of customers is strong, and they support us and they support our mission and they support what we're about. So, like, when we get shirts and stuff, they really rep them hard. Like, they're about it. Yeah, they'll buy one for their kid, and, like, they'll buy the next color we come out with. And it's cool because it means a lot.
So how does that make you feel? Like, you're really humble about it. How does that make you feel that?
He's so humble about it, right? Like, he's like, oh, yeah.
That's straight
whatever.
up, like, people maybe might get married because they come here and, like,
How do you
they,
guys meet, Brando?
they met, they dated, like,
Yeah.
man, you're like, you're impacting
Cupid.
lives. You're Cupid.
You-
Like,
yeah. What
Yeah.
time is a good time to come? No, I'm just kidding.
Social hour.
Jenny's lucky.
I mean, think about it. You're having coffee. You're feeling good about yourself. You're feeling it, You're starting to come alive a little bit. You see that person over there, and you say what's up. You find the confidence. It's like a bar, but in the daytime.
There you go. If you
Without
want
the
to start,
hangover.
if you want to get some dating going on, come up to the ground
Ground Up?
coffee, ground
Yeah.
up.
Speed dating over here.
Speed dating over here.
They put whiskey in your coffee. No, I'm just kidding. He's like,
He's like, maybe that's a good
Maybe
idea.
that's a
Maybe
good-
we should start like.
It's called Irish coffee, actually. It's whiskey and coffee.
you offered here.
No, but it's a thing.
That's,
I can't take
let's
credit for
make
it.
it a thing.
It's that sugar. Jenny took way too much sugar.
I can't with you guys. I'm done.
But wait, going back to, so, again, going back, you're very knowledgeable about your coffee. I know you said you still have to learn a lot, and you're still learning. So, like, how do you learn? Like, you just, like, test things out? Do you read? Do you, like, watch videos?
What's your
Man,
inspiration?
this one right here is like a tricky one, and I want to make sure I try to answer it right, because I don't want to contribute to the mass information era and like people thinking like they have to be perfect at this. The most important thing at the end of the day is if you like the way it tastes. That's the only thing that matters. Right. And everyone's different, so it's subjective. So your palate and my palate could be different, which is why we offer different coffees, right? Some are bolder, some are lighter, some are tangy, some are smooth. Like, so really at the end of the day, if you like the way it tastes, forget everything else. Like, that's the only thing that matters. But when you try to learn coffee, like, I've learned that, like, there's so much information that you could learn and that it actually confuses you because you think it all matters. And then, so what I would say the biggest learning thing for me is sifting through what doesn't matter and getting rid of it so that now I understand, like, what does matter, right? So when you're going through these processes, like, I want to help people feel like coffee is more approachable than they think it is because they see it to be so complicated. But really, it's only initially complicated, and then it gets easier after that. So you can always learn more. And right now, like, I think I know how to prepare coffee pretty damn good. But I don't really know a lot about, like, how coffee's farmed, you know? Like, the actual details and the technicalities of a coffee plant, how it grows, because that affects taste, the altitude, the region, where it's from, the farming method. There's a lot that goes into that, right? Then you have roasting coffee, like turning it from, taking it, after you take it out of the cherry, and coffee's a cherry for the record, and a seed, it's not a bean.
We knew that.
Yeah, you take that and you roast it and you turn it into that chocolatey looking thing, right, that you see in coffee shops. And that roasting process is its own beast as well. So I don't know as much about that roasting process as I would like to. Then you have your preparation. And preparation is still really important because you can mess everything up by preparing it wrong. So it's all really important. But right now, most of my knowledge lies in, like, preparing and understanding the type of equipment and the type of preparation. But I would still like to learn more about those other things. And then also just the business of, like, importing coffee and how to import it, roast it, and create that type of business as well. So you're, you know, farm to cup.
And you know what? Like, with your mindset, with your, like, vision, I wouldn't be surprised if next time we come here, we see, like, the little cultivation and farming of
Unfortunately, you can't grow coffee here.
Never mind.
Well, just recently they grew in Central California.
Okay.
But you have to do, like, stuff to the soil because basically you have to be in a certain type of altitude and region. It's called the coffee belt. If you look it up, it'll show you, like, on a map, like, between a certain longitude, latitude, where you have to fall in order for coffee to grow successfully.
I'm looking at you when you're talking about coffee, and you seem so passionate. Like, you just, like, you're very knowledgeable, but when you're talking about it, you're just, like, you see this, like, sparkle in your eye. You're just, like, so excited, like a little kid, like, talking about coffee. Yeah. You see it, too?
Yeah, I see it,
coffee is a beautiful thing. I mean, if you really think about coffee, one cool thing I really think that is cool about coffee is, like, no matter who you are in the world, no matter what religion or what demographic, socioeconomic status, everybody can relate to the idea that, like, you start your day or morning with this idea of coffee. And even if you don't drink coffee, it's a part of your life still because your parent drank coffee or you smelled coffee growing up. And it's something that everyone does. And it's rare that there's something that everybody does. Right. Everywhere, no matter who you are and no matter where you're from. And it's kind of a cool thing that, like, I'm waking up here in LA drinking a cup of coffee and someone in Iraq wakes up and drinks a cup of coffee too.
Dude.
Bet you'll never see coffee the same way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Somebody else is drinking this
Next time I see you getting a cup of coffee, I better see the same admiration and, like, those glossy eyes and just admire.
Everyone has their own passions.
That's awesome.
Your podcast is yours. So.
This is I love this, like, the microphone.
But you see, that's awesome. That's who you want, like, making your coffee. Like,
yeah, I want you to make. I'm gonna come here.
Yeah. Anyone here who's behind that counter will make your coffee that way, so don't worry.
There you go. Yeah. So you mentioned too that, you know, music is a passion of yours, or you're involved in music. So in what sense and what level? What do you do with music?
Yeah. So I started writing music, I think, around, like, the age of 14. And it was mostly just, like, I've always loved music. Like, my whole life, I've always loved music. And I wrote a line once that, like, I couldn't, I always wanted to sing, but I couldn't sing. So what's the closest thing that rhymes with sing? Rapping. So I just started to MC. Like, I started to write hip-hop. And I fell in love with hip-hop. Hip-hop, to me, is, like, one of the most beautiful forms of music and art, and just, like, it's so expressive, it's so vulnerable, and it's so descriptive, you know, like people are writing 16, 20, 24 lines in a verse compared to the 2, 3, or 4 lines that you catch in a regular song. Then it goes to the hook, then it's another 4 lines. But like hip hop, it's all about the words. Everything is about the words. It's so extensive. And I fell in love with the scene and the era and just of hip hop, and like especially that soul hip hop, that conscious hip hop. So my favorite hip hop artist is Common, and I like people like Mos Def and Talib, and like obviously your Biggies and your Tupacs, and just like anybody who's speaking like truth, or at least their truth and their reality. And that was my thing. So like I just really got into it, and I just never stopped. And then it became more of like a therapy. Like, and I usually pick up my pen when things are the hardest. And so it's usually a coping mechanism as well. And so that's where it comes from a lot. So a lot of my music is really deep, introspective, and sometimes it can even come off as like sad.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just when I'm the most inspired to write. And so it's harder to write a happy song than it is to write a sad song. Because sadness just flows out, you know? It's kind of, I don't know, it's when I want to write. Yeah, I don't have a choice. It just kind of happens.
Right. And I know I have to just say, I mean, is there something you would like to share? You know, I know I'm putting you in the spot right now, but...
I was going to make him sing because he said he wasn't a singer. Yeah.
Oh, man, okay, never mind. She was going to give it to you.
I can't sing for nothing.
Who told you that? We would be the judge of that.
I'd rather save my rapping for tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so if you guys... There's going to be another... There's a part 2, I guess? You call it part 2?
So your podcast is Shedding a Light on Montebello, right? And you and I had a discussion about a common friend that we have who I actually happen to write music with and record with, and he was your friend. And you wanted to kind of mesh this coffee shop interview with that, and I had the recommendation that I think they deserve their own lanes. And so I think that's exactly how I feel, and I think that's awesome because you're showcasing some Montebello MCs who are both really dope. Possibly a third one. Yeah, the coffee shop, they're kind of different and separate. So I don't want to fuse them too much because then I'm like having to fuse my passions too, and I'd rather just like separate them. Yeah, and let them because tomorrow you'll get hip hop, Daniel. I'll probably have an LA hat on.
There you go. It's going to be a different outfit. It's going to be. I mean,
should I dress differently tomorrow?
Yeah, I think you should dress differently.
Like baggy clothes.
No, I like that. I think you're right on that. I think it's two different passions. They're both deserving of separate, attention. And I'm actually pretty curious, pretty interested to see like what's gonna be
tomorrow.
Yeah. Both of the other dudes are super talented too. So. And
you all said they're like homegrown talent.
Yeah, they're all Montebello. From the same Tri-City area. Like you're confused. You don't know if you're from Montebello or East LA or Monterey Park, but it's the same vibe and the same feeling. It's kind of just this area, you know.
I like that.
I think they went to Montebello High School.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and I met them strictly through music. They saw my stuff, and then one of them reached out, and like they're extremely talented. They inspire me.
Man, well, you're inspirational. You're doing
He's really inspirational.
I mean, just having a business. Think about that. Having a business like at 29 and doing what you love doing, like that's really, that's admirable.
It's impressive.
So I don't know.
I'm like, and you're talking to you like obviously like you. There's something when I talk to you, like you like I'm over here woke. I'm inspired.
You woke her up.
You woke me up, and it wasn't the coffee.
It wasn't that sugary coffee that she was drinking.
You gave me the platform.
Yeah, like
sometimes the platform just is important.
See, like he's doing it again. He's doing it right now.
Philosophy that
I don't know.
I'm even tripped. I don't
There's
even
so
know
many.
what to say. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna open up my own coffee shop. Yeah. Nah, I'm just kidding. He's like,
just not in this area.
Don't compete, okay? If you're gonna do that,
across
over there.
The street.
Go somewhere else. Go to another city.
Southside Montebello.
Yeah.
I live over there. Coffee. Let's go back to coffee.
Cool.
Do you experiment like different? Like, do you combine them or like, oh, this is gonna be this, or do they have like their own specific like? No,
sometimes
this has
we make
to be
mistakes
this.
and they turn out good too. Yeah,
this is called the mistake.
Yeah, no, we always we try not to fix what's not broken for one. So if it's really good, like we don't need to try to fix it. But we also definitely are always like experimenting and tasting. And like a big part of that is we go to a lot of coffee shops ourselves, and Not really for comparisons, but just
I was going to say, like...
Just to make sure we're, like, doing, like... I want to see what's out there. I know a lot of what's out there, and I want to see how we...
Make it better.
What we taste like in comparison to that. Because it could be different. It doesn't necessarily have to be better or worse. Right. But I find that I've messed myself up because I always want my coffee. I don't know if it's a bias, but I think... I kind of think, like... And customers have told us, like, you messed me up. Like, I can't go anywhere anymore. Yeah. And it's like, cool.
That's good.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, coffee is like an open platform. You could just do anything you want.
All right, so that's what we're going to do. Jenny, you're going to come here for a couple of weeks. And we're going to see if it messes you up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll see what happens to you. Like
starting tomorrow.
Yeah, starting tomorrow. And we're going to see if we're going to be able to drink anything else. And you're going to be here.
I'm going to be a regular. So when people come in here and they're like, what do I get? Mm-hmm. What do you recommend? You at first ask them, like...
I have, like, a set of questions I kind of use. So I ask them how comfortable they are with coffee. Do you, like, prefer something sweet? Do you prefer a coffee black? And then they'll answer. And then I'll be able to go down whichever lane. If they say black or whatever they say, then I'll say, are you in the mood for something hot or iced, right? So, like, I really see it as a way to, like, I want the right drink for that person. And if I give you the right drink, I mean, there's a lot of things that could go wrong in this communication. And communication is so important. But, like, let's say I'm able to get you the right drink, you'll probably come back. If I give you the wrong drink you didn't really want, you're probably not going to like it and you probably won't come back. So I really try to ask a good amount of questions to truly understand what someone's looking for. So that way they get the right drink and not just end up intimidated and, like, by default say, yeah, I'll take that. And then it wasn't what they wanted and they're like, yeah, I didn't really like that place. But really they just didn't get what they should have gotten. So, yeah, like how comfortable they are with coffee, whether that's black or with flavor. Do you want something hot or iced? There's a difference between espresso. There's a difference between cold brew. There's a difference between a hot coffee. Like, there's a lot of differences. Sometimes people associate coffee as one thing.
Yeah.
But it's different, like an espresso is a very concentrated form of coffee. A coffee is, pound for pound, espresso is supposed to be this really strong thing, but a cup of coffee is technically more than a shot of espresso in terms of caffeine. And so, like, there's a lot of these things that people have somewhere picked up, and we try to, like, break these stigmas and these misperceptions of what coffee is. Like, for example... light roast coffee is more caffeinated than a dark roast coffee.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, like, what's the strongest coffee?
Yeah,
like,
so a lot of people have this perception for whatever reason that a strong, smoky, dark roasted coffee is caffeinated.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
in reality, you roast out the caffeine the longer you roast it.
So it's not really...
So a lighter, more fruity and tangy and lighter in body coffee is highly caffeinated, and overly roasted burnt coffee, as you can see, I don't like dark roast, is basically roasting out the flavor and the caffeine. But it's hard. People have grown up their whole lives with this idea that, like, a strong, bold cup of coffee is, like, strong. But, I mean, we're trying to change that perception.
I have something for you. What's in the future for Ground Up? Like, I know you're going to give me, like, a philosophical answer, and maybe I do want that. But, like, what's in the future for it? What do you see? Like, what would be... And I know success is probably, you don't want to hear that word. But what...
Yeah.
How do you envision it? Like, what do you see Ground Up in?
You're right. I have a philosophical answer. I mean...
He brings out a paper.
There's always this balance between the future and the present. Like, how much are you going to live in the present and how much are you going to live for the future? So we try really hard to figure out how to make this shop a way that we enjoy it now and not that we're looking forward to what it could be one day. So, like, even our hours, they've been questionable, right? Like 7 to 2, it's early, we close early. Some of it's based on business and some of it is based on our ideologies that we still have a life to live outside of this business, and we still have family and we still have passions that we want to pursue, and we can't give everything we have to one thing all the time. Like, there's the most important word I've kind of learned in my growth as a person is balance. Like, balance is super key in everything, in relationships, in love, in financial aspects. So we don't put this crazy pressure to, like, grow like most businesses. Like, oh, what's the next business? Like, what's the next step? we do talk about steps, but it's going to be more organic and with our ground of philosophy. So we don't really want to take on investments. We've been offered investments in certain ways. We don't want to take on investments or loans, which means it's going to take longer, right? Like if you take on a $50K loan, yeah, you could do a lot of things a lot quicker. But to do it yourself, I feel like for us, that's more meaningful. So like just to not be all philosophical, like, yeah, we don't want to overconsume ourselves with just business and trying to grow and trying to be successful, right? Because success is a stupid word anyway. Because it's all speculative and it's per person. Whatever you visualize success as is your success. But like we do envision possibly having more like after hour stuff, like so more events and stuff like that, which is definitely going to bring in another revenue income. We see ourselves trying to create like a very simple nitro brew cart. A nitro brew is a really like fancy drink that's on the market right now, but it's still fairly new. And possibly sending that out to like farmers markets and stuff. We want to start a possible coffee education.
Nice.
Coffee education, so host classes for coffee, like after hours as well. Like where hopefully you could leave with like a pamphlet or like a booklet with like you're feeling more confident on how to prepare coffee and take it home with you and like do it yourself too and learn about like cold brews and pour overs and espresso and learn all those things and try to break all those different perspectives and
so
perceptions.
You know what to order.
That's a really cool idea.
Those kinds of things, they're smaller ideas, but I think that in the long run, they're going to have a larger impact.
Right. That's really awesome.
So the idea of the business hours from 7 to 2, it came up with you need time for your family and you need time for your business.
Yeah, so like part of it is that the bulk of our business does come in those hours, right? But who knows what could have come if we market more and we try to stay open later, and would there be a evening crowd? Who knows? But like the thing is like that who knows, sometimes it consumes people. Like, and we realized pretty quickly that like in order for us to bring the passion we have every day and the smile and the talk and like being, and it's a lot of times it is authentic, and sometimes it's hard. If you see us less talkative, it's because we're probably having a bad day because we're human. And I just got in an argument with my girlfriend, or like, you know, things are bad, and so like you can't just turn that off. Like, but people don't deserve to be treated bad. Yeah. So
right.
So there's so much that goes into this, and it's really, it could be exhausting some days, and some days it's life giving. But the thing is that like, for us, we just wanted to have this balance. Like, in order, what does it look like for us to continuously and consistently bring passion here? And if you open too long and you spread yourself too thin and you're worried about too much, I think it takes away from like the experience that you have. So, yeah.
That was it. I like it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I dig it. I mean, I didn't like it because of the 2. And I was like,
But
I get off at 6.
But you see, this is the way I see it. I feel like you're taking a risk, right? With that, you're taking a risk.
Sure.
But it's your identity.
Yeah, it's
it really is. And you're, again, you're like visionary from everything you've been saying. So maybe that's what going to be the new norm, you know. That's your style, right?
Probably starting a new trend
because you're not following the traditional, you know, coffee hours.
He's doing his own thing.
Yeah, he's doing his own thing. He's like, I'll make this like this my thing, or this is our thing with your partner.
Ryan. Don't forget about Ryan.
Yeah, but I mean that's what you got to do. Like that's the vision. Like you're not, and I feel like a lot with this conversation, you're not going to set yourself in the norm, you know. You're gonna do you're gonna do what you gotta do, like whatever satisfies you, fulfills you, you know. That's who you are.
What feels right, basically. Not just to do it to be a rebel, but just because it feels right.
And it doesn't seem like you're like, how do I word this? Like you're not settling because you have so much ideas for this. You're just like, we could do this and this.
Exactly. Settling is a weird term too, because society has you believing that your life has to look a certain way, right? And like, I really think we have it upside down. Like, we work a lot, and like, you know, we spend the bulk of our time working, and then we're tired after work, so we can't pursue our passions, or we can't be present when we're chilling with our family, or when we're trying to have a relationship with our friends or our significant other. And to me, it always confused me, because it's like, man, I really feel like it should be the other way around. Like, relationships are the most important thing. It's kind of like why we're here. And then the other stuff should come after. So we try to walk the walk, that, you know, in terms of what we say as well. Like, so hopefully we could inspire people to say, like, yeah, like, we don't have to kill ourselves doing this business. We could do the business, and because we've set ourselves up to have a more minimal life. Like, we ain't rich, we ain't ballers, but like, we have less requirements on our life when we choose not to extend ourselves financially as much as maybe we could. And then that takes off pressure for, like, how much you have to earn. And if you feel like less of that pressure, like, you're not cornered, then you feel more confident in making decisions. Like, so you have that clarity that I was talking about. And I think both Ryan and I align on that, and just align on making sure that we live our lives still, too. Because this isn't our whole identity.
Yeah, you guys have, well, your work and your life.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it's part of your life. One thing this is going to throw you off. On MySpace.
MySpace?
Yeah, I'm going to take it way back.
Dang.
Can we, okay, listen. On MySpace, you have wrote, I know it was you. I don't remember. I don't know why I think it's you. Somebody. No, it was Sal. You posted a little quote that said,
oh man, I'm scared. Honestly, I'm
no,
scared.
No. It said, when life becomes a routine, that's when you stop living.
Yeah, I did post that.
It was you, right?
No,
He's like, yeah, I'll put my stamp on it.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Quote me, stamp it. And it's true. And then when you were talking about that, like, you don't make it seem like life is like a routine. You're like, okay, this is our coffee shop, and then I have my life.
It doesn't have to be bad if you're passionate and you like it.
Right.
But
if
a routine is
yeah.
bad when you hate it every day. I think so, yeah.
But you know what? You're keeping it real too. Like, you're saying, like, you know, I am doing what I love, but at the same time, like, there's difficulties, and and I don't have, like, every day. It's not like, oh, you know, it's my shop, I'm gonna come here, and you know, like, you have your struggles, you know, and you're keeping it real. Like, it's not easy, but at the same time, you are still, you know, doing what you like doing. But,
absolutely,
you know?
Yeah. Anything has its good and bad days, but in a world where we're always comparing ourselves to people's highlight reels,
right.
Well, nobody's going to post that sad stuff.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's why I like to try to be more transparent, because it's like, I don't want you to think from the outside, wow, what should I be doing in my life if he's doing that? He has a coffee shop. He's only 29. Like, all these things could run through your mind, but at the end of the day, like, you're on your journey. Your journey is your journey.
Everybody's different.
You don't have to compare yourself. Comparison is the ultimate killer. And I've been a victim of that. And I even withdrew from social media for almost like a couple years, because it was really affecting me and how I was seeing things. And I realized, like, wow, like, you subconsciously do this to yourself, and it sucks. And so I try to be more transparent and not only make things seem like it's all butterflies and rainbows, because life is not butterflies and rainbows. Let's be real.
Right. Man, you need to, like, write a book.
Right?
Thanks, man.
You need to write a book.
You're really
One day,
inspirational.
hopefully.
This turned into, like, coffee. It's the coffee.
Like, I just feel like I have to, like, I'm reevaluating my life right now.
I don't even want to do. I want to do something else.
It takes an army. I had to read things and listen to things, and you know, there were other people before me who were just as inspirational and, like, insightful. And then I just feel like my mind has been blown so many times.
What is in the coffee that makes them?
There you go.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's something in the coffee when you drink. It's just like
absolutely.
Okay. With everything, all your whole knowledge, what are, like, the 3 top things that have made an impact in you? Whether it's a book, a movie, a song that have shaped, like, how you see the world.
Damn, it's a good question.
all these good questions.
Yeah, for sure. I think so I'm not necessarily pro education. Okay. I don't want people to think that college is the only way. But for me, I will say that where we come from in our certain communities, we do live in a failing education system that doesn't necessarily foster the kind of education that I think some communities have. And so when I got my education, I started at community college, and when you take classes like philosophy and you take classes like critical thinking and English, and you're critically analyzing these novels or these books or these theories, it was the first time I think I ever really used my brain in that way. And I don't even think I understood my potential. And a professor in my English class saw something in me that I don't think I even really saw in myself. And he realized that, like, he thought I had a lot of talent and a lot of, like, to offer. And he just really, like, inspired me and pushed me. And we grew a relationship. And I would say, so college and that class specifically, and him as my professor, really awakened my mind to start to think critically. And it's almost like once it started, it wouldn't stop after that. I didn't have to be in a class anymore. It was always why, says who. And like, then you start to just challenge things, and then you realize like, wow, that was there for no reason. It was just there. And so education, college, and him, that's like kind of one big change. And then like this idea of like, okay, so like self-expression, I think for me has been like a really big thing. Like, it's hard, like when you tap into something that is kind of outside of yourself. Like sometimes when I write lyrics or I'm writing things or I feel a certain connection to music, I'm like, it's so much deeper. It's like a goosebumpy feeling. It's a feeling that's outside of myself. And then that really, really impacts me a lot too. So when I write, sometimes I don't even remember what I wrote, or I don't realize how I wrote it. It happened. And so it makes me believe like there's just this energy, there's this source of power that like exists in things that are pure, like music or art or things like that, right? So I think music has played a huge role. And like people think hip hop people are thugs and stuff, but like if you really listen to hip hop, it's talking about everything. Since day one, it's been talking about slavery, it's been talking about political campaigns and movements, it's been talking about so much for so long. It's just got this rep of like being thuggish or being hardcore. So I literally learned through music about a lot about it. You could travel through music. So with music, I would say is another huge factor of like why I am who I am and what I've become and how I think. And then I would say like, I think this one's like funny, but it's cool too if you really like, I don't really know how to describe it, but I think time is really important.
It's just blowing my mind right now, but I mean, yeah, go.
Thanks.
All right.
I feel like time is really, really important, and we don't give ourselves enough time to let ourselves blossom. So like all of the way I think or the way I created a business, it didn't just happen overnight. And sometimes we live in a world where you want an overnight success. You want things to happen fast, and like really it takes time for everything, for your wisdom, for your growth, for your business, for anything that you want to do. It's going to take time, and if it matters, it's probably going to take a long time. And if it's important enough or hard enough, right? And so with time, not only do things blossom, but with time you learn a lot. So like it always impresses me that like last year I swore I knew, and then this year I'm like, yeah, you didn't know. Yeah. And every year you literally grow more, and like you could look back and be like, why did I say that? Like that didn't even make sense. And then you're just like, so when I see like an old person, like an elderly person, like they inspire me, like because I'm like, man, you've walked this earth for like 90 years or 80 years or whatever you are. Like you must know so much. You might not even say it, but you know so much because with every year, with just time in general, like I've grown as a person with just time, because it's like fosters that, you know. And so I think that has played a big role, like time, and then just like that idea of giving it time, giving yourself time and things time to blossom.
You took the concept of time and just like
you could even put that towards the coffee shop. Like you just put more time to it, and then
dude, this is such a baby. It's only been a year and a half. Sometimes Ryan and I talk about that. Like, bro, it's only been a year and a half.
A year and a half.
It's a baby, yeah.
But it's engraving itself in the community.
Yeah,
I mean, I do.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It's people like your. I was gonna say fan base, but your customers are really loyal, like you said,
sure, yeah.
and they keep on coming. So you guys are doing something right.
Yeah.
You know, when I drive through here, I do see people sitting outside, and it has a really cool hangout spot. You know, cool vibes. You get good energy when you walk in.
Yeah.
So I think it's part of like what you guys are doing and what the whole idea of what this is. You guys are giving a lot of people a safe spot.
Sure.
And like you mentioned, like some people come here and become friends because of what you guys are providing, which must be such a great feeling, you know. It's you guys are creating experiences, and
I don't want to share people's personal information, so I won't give details. But like, there's been some really powerful moments where like someone will come up and essentially saying like, you're a big part of like my recovery or my growth, and you don't really realize it. But like on this day, I was having the roughest day of my life. And I came here and I found solace in an area that like I just didn't even know where I was going, and I ended up here. And like it's moving for sure, and it's humbling, and you realize it's bigger than you. Like, it's not even just me, Daniel. It's like it's something
There's
different.
more to it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and I just bet that's probably like those tough days that you're having. That's what pushes you.
It makes it worth it, dude. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's funny. Sometimes they say it exactly when I need to hear it.
Yeah.
So it's funny how the world and the energy
you
works.
guys feed
like
off
that.
each other.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even know, but you're picking me up right now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You?
We're good.
Well, I have a
we're
question
good?
for you.
Oh, it gets reversed.
Okay, but I don't have like
Nah,
philosophical.
It's not, don't worry. It's nothing like that. I just want you to have an opportunity, like, to answer what this podcast means to you and like what you want from it.
Oh my gosh, this podcast has made me open up my eyes, and it made me realize that I really do care about it. Like, I'm so tired from work, but I'm like, you know what? This is what I love, and like I love setting up the microphones. I love talking on the
Nice.
like setting up. I was on my lunch break writing questions for you.
Yeah, she thought I was gonna cancel. She was blowing me up. She emailed me. She texted. She called. She left a voicemail. She had her cousin text my girlfriend.
Okay. Let's not.
She's passionate.
I'm passionate about this, and I'm so passionate, and I want people to see my passion. So when someone doesn't agree, doesn't come through with whatever an interview or the props or whatever, like, I get so offended. I'm just like, but that that makes me want to thrive for more. Like,
Right.
you know, like you don't want to be on my show, fine. I'm gonna get something better, or you want to. I don't know. It just makes me realize that I really am passionate about this, and I wish that people would eventually will see that as the shows go by. And I do want Montebello to like know more about each other, the business, the people, because we don't. We're just like everybody's living their own life that you're just like in a routine that you don't really realize. Like this coffee shop. Sure. Talking to you made me like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna come tomorrow because you made me want to come tomorrow. I want to try the vanilla latte.
Yeah, no, it's bomb.
It's just the meaning behind it, right? Like it gives you a little bit more. You want to go now because now you know the little backstory. That,
it
makes it personal, you know. Like it makes it more. You want to support something like that, you know. It's not just so. Everything's great, you know, like there's a backstory and a side story to everything. So it makes humanistic, I guess. That's
and getting to know you like made me realize like it does. Hopefully people feel the same way. Like you feel like you get to know you and the coffee shop a little better. Made me want to like support it more, or I'll give it a try. Or maybe they want to pick at your brain, want you.
Yeah, no, totally. Absolutely. And your answer was awesome.
Really?
It was just as inspirational.
Yes.
Yeah,
see,
like you're throwing a little bit. You're throwing a little bit of philosophy in there.
Like I was gonna cry.
You said some stuff that I think a lot of people take for granted. Yeah, you said you live in a city where no one really knows each other. That's deep. If you think about that, you're in a routine and you're just passing by people, and you don't really. You don't look at people. You don't really even notice them in a lot of ways, you know. And I think that's pretty deep. And what you're trying to do is create a sense of community and a sense of togetherness. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard, but it is. We live in the same city, yet it could feel like a different world at times. And I think that's exactly what you're touching on. I think that's dope.
True.
That's great.
We're doing something.
Yeah.
And you are passionate.
Yeah.
And I love that you're just doing it. That's dope. That's super sick.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Yeah.
Like setting up, I was so nervous. And I'm so nervous like throughout the show.
Me too.
Like,
I think people like act like they're not. They want to seem like they have their shit together. But I'm super nervous. I was super nervous. I got comfortable. You made it a comfortable space.
Okay, good.
So that was good. But I mean, I started off really nervous.
Well, you didn't seem shy or like nervous at all. Like I was like, is he gonna want to have like a beer or something before the show? Like, should we get coffee? Like,
probably gonna have a beer after. Like,
there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like when I asked them, I was like, hey, I'm doing a podcast, like Montebello Talks. The day I was sick too. I was like,
right.
I was like, I'm doing a podcast, and I think this coffee shop would be really awesome. And he's like, yeah, let's set up the date right now. And like we just did, and I was like, oh. Yeah. So when you weren't answering my calls, I was like, he
misled me.
He misled me. He's such a guy. No, but he did. Yeah. It was a misunderstanding.
I'm pretty bad at like phone stuff. I don't give my phone a lot of attention. Like I don't like it. If it buzzes, I don't have to look at it. So like sometimes I neglect it a little too much, and then things like that can happen.
You know what? I can, after this conversation, I completely I agree with you.
Do we go there?
Yeah.
Should we go there? I blow up Sal's messenger. If you look, I blow him up, and then he doesn't even reply. He just views it, and I'm like,
I saw that you saw it.
I know that you know that I saw it. Like, how do you not reply? And then I have to messages, but it was Oliver too. Like your sidekick.
That's another conversation, but no, yeah.
He's your sidekick.
Yeah.
He's like his go-to guy. So I have to message his go-to guy. Like, hey, can you make him reply to me, please? Because I'm gonna like cut him.
Yeah, but no, I agree. You know, like it's. I'm
not going to communicate with you guys after this. Like, we're not. I'm not going to text
Maybe you could like send like a dove with like a message.
I am
and, like,
at this
somehow,
point.
come in there
a pigeon with the note.
Yeah.
I think this podcast is a really healthy form of communication. I think this is really cool because I feel like we need more honest media. And maybe you don't see this as media, but in reality, it is kind of media, right? Like it's a little marketing. It's a little it's a little bit of everything, and you're getting to know people, and like you have all these things just being fed to you. But when you have an honest source, I think that really it could be super impactful. So I think this is a really healthy form of communication.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were going for. I didn't want it to be formal. You're like, this coffee is like, no, like I want it to be I want to get to know you, and I want people to know you in your coffee shop, like, so they get to know, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like,
well, like,
I don't want to
even on a more like intimate level, like I'm getting to know you.
Exactly.
You're like sitting across from me, and like we're talking, and like
we had some deep conversations.
Yeah, and now I feel like there's more substance here than like what was before we started. You know,
right.
For sure.
You're starting a friendship here.
Is this
I feel like we're gonna have you here on more shows in the future.
I do want to have you again.
Oh,
we are.
Sick. Yeah, that'll be sick.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I'm pretty excited. It makes me super nervous because music is always really vulnerable for me, but I'm excited at the same time.
You're excited? Okay,
yeah.
that's good.
Well, we can't thank you enough for joining us.
I'm so grateful for you. Like,
saying
yes and agreeing and actually coming through. Like, thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
Dope. When you get big, you have to give me another podcast, okay?
There you go.
You have to give me like when you get like Joe Rogan big. There you go. You have to
You have a piece of paper right there, a pen.
Yeah.
You're signing a contract right
now.
Yeah. That you're agreeing to this.
He's gonna write my books.
But thank you once again. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, so this was Montebello Talks with special guest
Daniel Dupuy from Ground Up Coffee.
Co-host
Sal, as always, here.
Salvador.
Salvador Sal.
All right, guys, thank you for listening.